outside and I could not find it anywhere.
Okay, I'm back.
What's up? What's up?
So, on the Race Unleashed front the other day, Sam, there was no talks of iracing, and I don't really know. So, yeah, there is.
All good.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
The time is finally here once again to go racing at Imola in the GT3 class. Welcome into round number 2 of the BISC GT3 Championship, brought to you by Benji's YouTube channel. Welcome in. My name is Tristan Herbst with my fellow commentator Matthew Duffin and with Sam Fitzpatrick in the background for production. Welcome in, like I said, to round number 2. We're here at Imola. How are we feeling, Matthew? I mean, obviously you weren't here last week. There was loads of action up and down, but Imola, like you've already mentioned, you've done a couple of sessions here this week. We're once again back at it in the GT3s. What are we feeling for today's racing?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Good evening in Australia. It's going to be an interesting race, this one. Imola, one of the more iconic circuits out there on the iRacing platform, and very tight, very narrow. So overtaking difficult at stages, more about setting your opponent up to get past and get a run on the next part of the lap, especially heading down the start straight into turn 1. And in these GT3 cars, I assume it's going to be exactly the same, because it's just not, it doesn't create a lot of overtaking opportunities. But Imola, fantastic circuit. You'll always see some dramas around Imola, and that's what I love about this track. It's a beautiful place to come.
Well, like you mentioned, it poses a bit of a difficult one in terms of overtaking. So the main objective for the drivers here is going to be getting that qualifying position in. But just to have a look at our championship standings, we've obviously only done one round, 2 races within round 1. And we'll see 2 races again here tonight, a sprint and a feature. But Dante Oliva will be holding off strong with a 45-point lead, 15 points away from Ben Snell, who currently holds 2nd, Tyler Craig in 3rd, and Ivan Vantagiato in 4th, with Lee Harrison rounding up the top 5. You can see the rest just stacked on your screen, but for the time being, that is our top 5 in championship standings. It doesn't pose too much of a threat just as yet, because it is round 1 out of round number 8. And so round number 2 will still gather a lot of points for these drivers, and it's a lot of opportunities for them to bring in those points in the overall championship standings. On board, though, with Peter Ferraro, who might be opposing as a threat here. We saw him last week at the Mexico City GP, and let's see what he can do here today. If you're a Formula 1 fan, though, you've definitely seen Imola, or San Marino is what some others call it. And so it does provide a lot of action, but like Matthew does mention, it does pose as a bit of a difficult one in terms of overtaking, and lots of tight chicanes. And so it's going to pose a threat to these drivers in terms of race technicality.
Yeah, and I think that's the different nature of this circuit, isn't it, compared to Mexico, where we was last week. You know, this track provides a different challenge for these drivers, because you've technically got to get this one right. And some very tricky corners. Watch out for Acqua Minerale and then the chicane just after that. They're the 2 areas of this circuit where drivers can easily just make 1 or 2 mistakes. And of course, Ravazza at the end, very easy to outbrake yourself, run a little wide onto the gravel and compromise your run down that start-finish line, which is heading into Tamburello, the best overtaking opportunity here. You see Peter Ferrard coming through Acqua Minerale and climbing back uphill. The bonus with these GT cars is that the curbs are pretty easy to handle in these, so they can ride the curbs quite well. As you see him absolutely mounting the 2 at the chicane there. And this could be an interesting one to watch, because, as I said a moment ago, Tristan, it's all about planting your car putting your car in a position where you can set the driver up going into the corners coming up, or the section of the circuit coming up. It's not really about overtaking in the there and now. Unless you're heading into turn 1, you've got to be clever about how you race tonight.
Yeah, exactly. And what we've seen before, and if you've ever watched the GT3s race around Imola, is that your exit out of the final corner onto this main straight is often your main overtaking opportunity. And like Matthew said, you have to set yourself up to get a little bit better exit speed and wrap that car around and potentially try and take a position. Remember, there's no form of DRS or KERS on the GT3 class, so no form of advantage there. So the drivers have to just get that better exit and optimize their slipstream in their car and get past the opponent in front. But let's go through once again a little bit of an event schedule and just our sponsors here for the BISC GT3 Championship that have made everything here possible. We got our open practice that has already happened, which was 35 minutes, just allowing the drivers to get a little bit comfortable with their cars here at Imola. We now have our open qualifying for 12 minutes. So open qualifying just means all cars are currently out on circuit together at once, so they do have to watch out for contact and causing a blockage. Then we've got our sprint race that will come after this. It's a 10-minute quick race, hence the name sprint, which does oppose a lot of competition. We've seen at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez race last week for round number 1. That does get quite spicy between these drivers as they try and get those points in that very short 10-minute bracket. And then we have a little bit of a break, a little bit of a warm-up for the drivers just to get comfortable once again. And then a 35-minute feature race that will come up. We've obviously got our major sponsors of Bowden's Own in the top right side, the premium car care products that are here to support, as well as Benji's YouTube channel, which is where all of you are currently watching, provided by Apex Racing TV. Then we've got our secondary sponsors of RaceForge, which is all your racing stats and analysts, plus a private league management needs. And RaceForge obviously coming here and providing the standings and leaderboards for the BISC GT3 championship. So incredible stuff there. And then we've got our Hyperspec, which is the newest sim gloves on the market, created by sim racers for sim racers. And then Jack Ashton Sim Coaching, which in the name is Sim Racing Coaching. We've then got Hair Forum for all your hair needs, and RBMX Designs for sim racing livery custom designs. And they'll be providing quite a large chunk of the prize winnings, as well as a nice lucky draw at the end of the season. So incredible stuff to see all the partnerships and sponsorships here at the season.
Yeah, great to see the fantastic support the series is getting. Great to see a series with good support, and that's what you really want to see. It motivates the drivers, motivates the organisers to get these championships out there on the board. We're currently 6 minutes into qualifying, so halfway through. Not a lot of times appearing on the board. And the other thing to mention around this circuit, Tristan, is the off tracks, the track limits are very, very key around here, because it's so easy to just run a little too wide and pick yourself up and off track and get that invalidated lap time. We've seen 12 lap times coming out of the 21 drivers at the moment, and it is Peter Ferraro who is currently your pole sitter at the moment by some 0.6 of a second. That's quite a big margin already when you consider that the two cars sat in third and fourth are only separated by a tenth from second to third and then fourth as well. So quite a big margin out front for Peter. He looks like he's getting himself in a nice little rhythm heading into the first 10-minute sprint.
Yeah, absolutely. And Peter Ferraro, definitely somebody to look out for. He really did pose as a threat in round number one. He just had some unfortunate incidents that led him to have bad results in both the sprint and the feature race. But here he is. Like we mentioned, the qualifying is super important, and currently 6/10 up from Snell in second position. So great job there for Ferraro, but still 5 minutes left. The drivers do not have a lot of time here to get those qualifying laps in. We've seen a couple of them invalidate and return back to the pit lane to just get a little bit of a better strategy going on there, because like Matthew just mentioned, the track limits are super extreme here at Imola, and it's one of those track limits where you don't realize you've gone over until you get that warning or the X in the bottom right corner. And so you really have to watch out. But before we continue, a massive happy birthday to the RaceForge.online owner of Adam Edward. Not congratulations, apologies, but happiest of birthdays to you, and we hope you have an incredible day here from the BISC GT3 Championship. And we've also got the Let's Talk Motorsport team. It's a full Italian team here who are rocking a specialized livery for this race here at Imola. And so that's Ivan Vantagiato, who's in the BMW with black mirrors and obviously a bit of a window banner change. You can see the Italian being rocked all over there for the LTM Motorsports driver. We've also then got Alex Spinozzi in the BMW. He's got white mirrors and a white window banner, but he's also out on track trying to set those times. He's currently got a P13 on the board with 2.3 seconds down. And there you can just see him there in the pit lane. And then our final driver is Steve Deviak in the Mustang, also in the LTM Motorsports team. So incredible stuff just to see a couple of anniversary liveries here for the Imola Italian action. And let's see what the team can do yet today with those special liveries, because like I've heard before, Matthew, is that sometimes a special livery can give you some luck.
Yeah, it can, and it's great to see that the design team have gone out there and made a special livery for this event. Obviously the home race for the Italian team, and it looks lovely, I must say, out there on the circuit at the moment. Ferrero, so far the Italian driver on home soil, now 0.7 of a second in the lead. And what a car, what a grid we've got in terms of the different variations of car. We've got one of everything, it looks like, out there for tonight's race. The only thing I'm not seeing is a McLaren out there, which is brilliant to see, a great combination of cars. And the 10-minute sprint, very interested to see this one play out. That will just be, I assume, all action, because 10 minutes, not a lot of time. If you get a poor qualifying and are possibly out of position to where you should be, that could leave you having to fight really, really hard in this first 10-minute sprint race to try and gain as many points as you can. Like you say, the 35-minute feature race coming up a little later on. That'll be easier for drivers to just be a bit more patient. So this sprint around Imola, I'm really intrigued to see what the drivers are going to do out there. But we can see times now coming in thick and fast. We've got 16 drivers set a current lap time. There's still 5 out there that haven't yet set one. And just proving the difficulty of track limits around here at this Imola circuit. So where are we? Luke Broadbent currently down in 16th place. He's last of the drivers who set a time.
Yeah,
the Ford the BMW edge. Moving up into 3rd place for Ivan Vantigiato, I think it was.
There we go. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, good job.
He moves up into P3, 7/10 of a second off Ferrero. Snell's found a couple of tenths. He's in 2nd place. Look at that, 3 manufacturers in the top 3 as well. Here is Scott Ballman coming down to finish his next lap time, and will he improve on his time as he crosses the line? He does, moves himself up into P5, so good lap life from Scott.
Yeah, good stuff there from Scott. But just to add there to your diversity belt, just to add a notch there, we do actually have a McLaren who's racing here tonight, and that's James McLean. He just hasn't come out yet to set a lap time. So I think we literally have every car from the GT3 class out here. I mean, we've got the Corvette, obviously, of Luke Broadbent, who's currently going out on circuit. And like you mentioned, 3 different brands up on the podium: a Ferrari, a Merc, and a BMW. So it's great to see the differences. And then Scott Berman obviously just hitting that top 5 in the Aston Martin. So loads and loads of diversity around our pitch here tonight, and today actually. Yeah, it is tonight in Australia. Apologies, I always have to adjust because for myself and Matthew it's currently broad daylight, but for the Australians it's a night time. It's just past dinner, and now it's time to set those laps here at Imola. But great diversity to see, but with only 40 seconds left, it's not a lot of time for the drivers to get those lap times in.
No, and there's not a lot of drivers out there on the circuit. I've got James McLean down as a BMW on the timing screen, so unless he is in the McLaren, that's what's thrown me off there as well. I've got him down as a BMW.
That's odd. Okay, last week
left
he was
on the track, so that looks like qualifying's over.
Okay, so maybe I'm not too sure if James McLean changed cars. I definitely remember him in a McLaren last week. So I'm not too sure if he's changed or if there's obviously we'll see now once our grid is formed here. But 50% chance of rain. I don't think it's going to be happening here tonight, and 20-degree ambient temperature. So it's relatively cool out here for the drivers to get those times set. But the qualifying has officially ended. Peter Ferraro, a little bit of a back-in contender from round number 1, will be starting all the way at the top, and with a rapid lap time of note. I mean, 6/10 ahead of P2. So great stuff there from Peter Ferraro. But let's have a look at our starting grid here for our sprint. Peter Ferraro, like we were just speaking about him, will come ahead in P1. Ben Snell will take the 2nd spot, as well as the final spot of 1st row. Ivan Vantagiato will take 3rd, with Lee Harrison in 4th. Scott Berman will take 5th, with Dante Oliva in 6th position. Our championship leader a little bit further behind there in the 3rd row. Guillaume Dombre in 7th position, and Stephen Deviak in 8th position.
P9 then for Tyler Craig, with alongside him Nick Green in P11. Then is Anthony Edwards with Ben Mitchell in P12. Michael Angeli is in P13 from Scott Evans alongside him. Andrew Cash is then alongside Alex Spinozzi in 16th place.
And then all good. Luke Broadbent will take 17th, with Ian Noxie down in 18th. Michael Dowsett 19th. Matthew Brown will take 20th, and James McLean down in 21st. So now I'm not too sure. Let's maybe see if we can go on the camera there of James McLean, just to confirm the suspicions here of if he has indeed switched to another vehicle or if he's still in the McLaren. But I'm sure if our timings are saying he's in a BM, I'm pretty sure he has. Yeah, he has not gridded. Okay, so that's a bit odd there.
Still grayed out, so he's not on the grid at the moment. I was looking back at the race results earlier today, just before we came on air, and Dante Oliva there, I think he'll be a bit disappointed with his qualifying session. He took the clean sweep last time out in Mexico. P6, a lot of work to do with this 10-minute sprint, but qualifying's one thing, the race is another. So it'll be interesting to see what Dante can do. Obviously, dominated last week, qualifying pole position, Heat 1 winner race, feature race winner as well. So I think this could be an interesting one to see what Dante's going to do from that P6 position.
Yeah, definitely. It's he's got the aggression behind him of being currently P1 on the championship standings. But like we spoke about in last week, but already our short formation lap is starting here, and the lights will go out to allow for the drivers to just pull around the safety car. But like we were speaking about, Peter Ferraro did not have a good race last week for his sprint and his feature, but he was incredibly quick. I mean, he was setting the fastest lap times all the way at the back of the pack, and now he's got that advantage because here he is all the way at the front of the pack. He's got Snell just behind, but this is going to be a really good opportunity for Ferraro to get that advantage that he desperately needed last week. So let's see what he can do here at the front behind the safety car.
And this is a chance now, right, isn't it, for Peter to kickstart his championship, kickstart his season, right? He's put it on pole position, he's done the hard work there. Now let's get through this 10-minute sprint, and then you're going to think about a 35-minute feature race. But this is the time now. We just said about Dante, you know, not the best qualifying. What's he going to look to do? For Peter, it's the exact opposite. It's, I've got to put last week behind me. The season starts now for me, because last week was you know, that's in the bin. That one's done. Now it's about kickstarting my season. If he can get a race within the sprint and then a podium potentially in the feature race, he's right back up there in them championship standings. So he's going to be one to keep an eye out for. But yeah, a lot of drivers here that look pretty quick, and like we've said, Imola, such a technical circuit. What a beautiful evening it is with the sunset here at Imola. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that technicality is going to come into play with how well the drivers know their cars. They've all gotten a custom pick of which GT3 they want to choose, but the time is now for the drivers to come towards the start-finish line and get those green lights underway. Peter Ferraro already trying to pull away as hard as he can, but Ben Snell tucked in just behind. It is officially green lights, and the racing has been enacted down into turn one, though. Can we see any diving action? We've got one of the BMWs there of Ivan Vantagiato diving onto the inside of Lee Harrison, and can he keep the position? Indeed he can. Looks like we have a good amount of no contact throughout the rest of the grid, and everybody has gotten through that first turn chicane with relative ease. But now Peter Ferraro has got that pressure from behind. A couple of the Porsches are fighting it out though through the next left-hand flick. What can they do though? Holding out in front though, Scott Berman is under immense pressure for the time being. The Porsches will be slightly faster through the corners. They've got the better rotation compared to the front engine Vantage, but what can he do here? Already a Porsche lined up alongside him. That's Dombre getting that pull in the Porsche, the pink and purple. And a little bit of a nudging bump coming here into the fast left-hander though. What can the Porsche do? And it looks like Dombre is going to hold off there. Berman losing one position on the starting lap.
Yeah, very clean at the good start, which is lovely to see as they come down into Acqua Minerale for the first time. But asking, like you say there, Ferrero got away pretty well in this race. He's got the pack on the back of him. Snell managed to hold off in that Mercedes-Benz, and Vantagiato managed to get up into third place in that BMW. But lovely clean getaway from everybody here. It's going to be interesting to see what the rest of the race is going to pan out like. Just starting to see the leaders just pull away a little bit from third place. Spinner in the background, that is Cash, who's had a moment. That is coming on the exit of the chicane then and down towards Ravazza. So Cash has had a moment on his own. Spinozzi there with a car. That is Noxie, who is having a few internet problems there, just teleporting all over the place at the moment, and that's going to really put Spinozzi off here, because he's not going to be able to see where that Ford Mustang is. He's now coming under pressure from the Porsche driver of Matthew Brown down the start-finish straight, and Noxie there, that's going to really be distracting Spinozzi. Brown getting alongside down the start straight, got the run out of Ravazza in towards Tamburello comes Brown. He's going to be up the inside of the BMW. Is he going to be up the inside of the Ford? Not quite sure. No, the Ford reappears back in front of him. Good move from the Porsche driver there.
It's always a scary one driving behind a netcode lagging car, because you never know what could happen with that car, and next thing you're alongside and all of a sudden he just appears next to you, and that could cause some major incidents. So let's hope that can be resolved. But here's a little bit of a flashback with Andrew Cash. This is through the chicane. Did he take a little bit too much curb that the BMW could handle, and maybe on the exit curb, and just a little bit too much spin there, and losing control of the BMW, unfortunately unable to keep it out of the wall. And that's going to be a bit of front and back damage, as he did a little bit of a cartwheel along the side there. And so Andrew Cash will unfortunately have sustained damage. That will be a little bit of a slowdown to his car, but hopefully he can keep it out here for the next 8 minutes. It's a super short race as we keep on continuing, but Matthew Brown is experiencing immense pressure now from Evans from behind. What can he do though in that Porsche? He's going to have the slowest top speed, but he does have the better speed throughout the corners here. Dombre has gotten a slowdown penalty though, as we're hearing from production, and looks like he has served it. It's all good now, as he's still getting a lot of pressure here from Green. Nick Green just from behind, and he was not here last week, so it's good to see another Ferrari out on grid, and also quite a fantastic livery there from the back wing here of Dombre. Very nice color choices over there, but as they keep on pushing, Dombre will get a bit of a better pull though. Can he match the top speed though of that Ferrari?
You do enjoy a good livery, don't you? Let's be honest. Can that Ferrari match the top speed of the Ferrari? Can the Ferrari get that top speed over the Porsche? Sorry, Dombre, like you said, doing a good job. He'll be good in the traction zone. So through the chicane, through the Tosa hairpin, out of Ravazza final corner, that's where the Porsche is going to really capitalise over the Ferrari on this circuit. we're coming through now. That's Villeneuve that we are coming through at the moment. This is Dowsett. Sorry, that's Tamburello, apologies. This is Dowsett in the Mercedes-Benz, down in 17th place. Broadbent and Evans on the rear of him. Yeah, it's a short, sharp 10-minute sprint race here. I was expecting a lot more dives from a few drivers, but they've been relatively clean, haven't they? Treating this like a bit of a longer format race instead of the short 10-minute race that it is. Through the toes of hairpin, Dowsett very, very wide, and that's going to allow the Corvette of Broadbent to get up the inside and through. On the exit of the corner there, so Dowsett just making his own mistake. Snell's not let this one up on Ferrero neither. That's only 2.5 tenths of a second out front. And then we've got this synchronised spinning from Dowsett and Broadbent there into Piratella. And like a pair of ballerinas, round they go.
It was a good save there from Dowsett. He managed to get back on track. It was almost contact on the rejoin, but thankfully nothing happened there. Broadbent, unfortunately, not so lucky, but looked like a bit of a line follow there from Dowsett, just following Broadbent and just taking a little bit too outside of a line there. Possibly some debris on track, just allowing the rear end to spin out like that. So let's have a look here with Broadbent through the left hand. What happened? So, yep, following the line, and both of them absolutely synchronized. Unfortunately, Broadbent getting a little bit more spin. There goes Dowsett there on the left, so he got a great recovery compared to Broadbent, and that's going to minimize all of the build-up he's tried to do now, and he's going to have to redo all of it. But back up to the top, Peter Ferraro has not been able to shake that gap from Ben Snell, and he's going to have to continue pushing here to keep that distance. Lee Harrison has also lost out, unfortunately, down to 5th, and D. Oliver has moved up to 4th, so that's great for him as he's going to capitalize more points for his championship lead, though. Michael Angeli also trying to chase down on one of the LTM cars, as Spinozzi down in 14th. He is currently the final driver who will get points here in this race. It is the top 15 that will capitalize on at least 1 point, up to 25 points for Ferraro. And so for Brown, just behind in the Porsche, his goal is to get at least 1 point here, getting that capitalization over Angeli. Let's see if he can do it, though, in the next 6 minutes of racing. That's how quick it goes. I mean, my goodness, Matthew, we are already well past halfway here.
Yeah, well past halfway, and it's flown by, and that's the thing with Imola. So this is a lever getting past Harrison, then into the slipstream. Bit of internet errors there, so he's just disappeared momentarily, but Oliva just gets the run after Ravazza, manages to pull alongside. Was that potentially a bit of a slowdown there for the Ferrari, because he just seemed to lose a lot of time, so I wonder if he's just gone a little too wide on the exit of Ravazza, and Harrison may have picked up a bit of a slowdown. He's had a spin now coming through the exit of the chicane, so easy to do at that part of the circuit, and he's tumbled right down in Scott Evans, might even get past him. Yes, he has. This is what happened to the Australian driver then. Just going to come in, he's going to try and mount the curbs. He misses. Oh no, wasn't a moment. The Ford Mustang has dived up the inside here. We'll get another shot of this one. So just looking above them, the Mustang late on the brakes, dives up the inside. Not really the opportunity to overtake, is it?
Yeah, definitely not. So Deviak coming along on the outside line, it then converts. So it converts from inside to outside there, and it just didn't look like he gave the space there to Harrison, forcing him right over the curb and just nowhere for the yellow Ferrari to go. And so he's lost out on all of that drive, down to 16th, and he'll lose out on a point. Brown will now get that final point of the top 15, and so Lee Harrison a little bit upset about that one, possibly because not much time to recover in this 10-minute sprint. And unfortunately for Lee Harrison, the same was experienced last week at Mexico. He had the same fall down in the sprint race, and he did not get any form of points there. And so this might unfortunately be a bit of deja vu for him here in the A-Gib Ferrari. And there's another car off, and that looks like Angeli, who's just lost the rear end through the hairpin turn, and looks like just taking a little bit too much of the outside curbing, losing the rear end. Let's have a quick replay though with the other yellow Ferrari here of Angeli. So into the hairpin he goes, and just a little bit too much overspeed coming into the corner, and not enough time for the car to get slowed down. The rear end said, no thank you, sir, that's not how I operate.
And how easy is that to do in a corner like that? Just take too much speed in. Here we go, the Ford Mustang's going at it again. Ben Mitchell and Noxie having a bit of a fight now through the chicane, and the chicane's probably the one place of this circuit where overtaking isn't really going to happen unless you've got your car just in front on the run to the chicane. And you see there Mitchell losing out to Noxie. Noxie still teleporting all over the circuit. This is going to be really difficult for these drivers as a little distraction. Somebody are kicking up a bit of gravel, but this is Nick Green looking back from his... It says Ferrari on the screen, but I don't think... Is that a Ferrari on the...
That is... Yeah, that's Ferrari, yeah.
Okay, so...
Yeah, the styling looks like a McLaren.
yeah, I was thinking that's what was throwing me off a little bit. But yeah, Nick Green looking back from him on Noxie. who's having a few internet problems at the moment. Into Tamburello, there you come. Ford Mustang, such a big, powerful car. It's really, it tries to, not the drivers, but the car almost looks like it's going to bully you out of a position.
Definitely so. I mean, when I did ACC driving, I mean, the Mustang was my pick, and it was a very intimidating car, especially with its top end speed compared to something like the little Porsche. And I mean, this thing is practically double the size of a Porsche with that huge front nose. And I mean, it's carrying a 5.6 liter turbocharged. It's really big and it's really monstrous. And so for Nick Green, he's got both the terror of a Mustang, but also a flashing Mustang that keeps on disappearing and reappearing. Next thing, it's going to be in front of you. So watch out, Nick Green. But it is actually his teammates I'm seeing now. It's both the Valkyrie Racing drivers. So hopefully they're going to not try and contest each other too much over here. But unfortunately for Ian Noxie, he really has to try and get that net code and lagging control for the feature race, because I mean, for 10 minutes it's already distracting. Imagine 35 minutes of constant in and out for other drivers. It might get a little bit hectic. And moment on the curve for Ian Noxie. My goodness, Matthew, that was close.
It was indeed. There's been a change for the lead. Snell leads over Ferraro then, so he's taken the lead by 0.8 of a second here. So Snell, in fact, is the race finished? He has. He's won the race, so he's done it at the very end.
My
Checkered
goodness.
flag has flown, and Snell has taken the race win from Ferraro. Vantigiato finishes in P3 on the back of Ferraro. Wasn't really in contention with the top two. So what has happened there? Dante Oliver then, P4. That's a good result for him. So he qualified down in 6th. So this is on the run down to Ravazza. Ferrero in that red and white Marlboro Mercedes. Gonna late pull out up the inside. Door gets a little shut as he pulled out to make the move. That put Ferraro on the dirt and then kind of blocks Vantigiato on the rejoin there. So, yeah, a little bit questionable, I'd say, on that one.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a field day for the stewards, I'd imagine there. That was a little bit icky there from the Mercedes of Ben Snell. And looks like he just pulled out a little bit too late. Or was it actually moving under braking there for Ferraro? He started coasting left under braking there. And I don't actually think the Merc of Snell was moving around too much. So, good luck to the stewards. I'm so glad I'm in the commentary box at this point, because that's a difficult one to judge. All three of those drivers involved, I think Vantigiato was just secondary collision damage there. He didn't really have anywhere to go and just had to meet the back end side. But we'll have a little bit of our 3 to 4 minute warm up now. The drivers have a little bit of time to recover, get the nerves relaxed a bit before we head into our feature race of 35 minutes. So if you thought that was action, wait for heat number 2, because it's going to be even better here with 35 minutes all around the Imola circuit.
It is indeed, and you see there then Ben Snell, your race winner from Peter Ferraro. Ivan Vantigiato is in P3, nearly took the P2 at the end. Dante Oliver finishes in 4th with Stephen Devjak in P5. Tyler Craig from Scott Borman, and then it's Don Bray in P8. Nick Green and Ivan Noxie rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, incredible stuff there for the top 10. From 11th, Ben Mitchell, the actual league owner of the BISC GT3, at least getting himself some points over here. Anthony Eduardes in 12th with Alex Spinozzi 13th, Matthew Brown in 14th, and Lee Harrison, unfortunately, having a little bit of a bad day here. Thankfully recovered 1 point in our heat number 1, so in 15th with Scott Evans in 16th. Michael Dowsett also after having a bit of a spin there following one of the Ferrari drivers in 17th. Michael Angeli also after having his hairpin spin. Down in 18th, Luke Broadbent in 19th, and Andrew Cash, who we saw spin very early on in this race, unfortunately taking the last place, with James McLean not coming out of the pit one time. So let's see if we can get McLean out for the feature race. A little bit unfortunate to be in the lobby and not getting out on there. So let's hope we can see him in our 35-minute dash.
Yeah, indeed. This is now the 3-minute warm-up period before the 35 minutes feature race. But yeah, big question to be asked now. And we've said it, Tristan, we've done many a broadcast together over the last couple of months. The hardest job in sim racing is that stewarding. And if you are a steward, you have got the hardest job. You come under the most scrutiny. We get the privilege of just sitting here, be able to talk about it. Sam gets the privilege of being able to sit there. And doesn't even have to talk about it. He just gets to show what you see on the screen. The drivers just get to race, and yeah, the hardest job is that stewarding. And for a last lap, last 2 corner battle that really affected the lead and potentially the podium order, you know, that's going to be an interesting one that the stewards will take notice of there. But for Ferrero, second place with his pole position, you know, it's a good way to kick off that season, as we said before the sprint race. He's just got to get his head down and focus again now, because Snell was on him all race, wasn't he? And Snell used his head a little bit there. He didn't look to challenge Ferrero until the very last second when it really mattered.
Yeah, and even though it's still a podium, and I mean, it's still second for Peter Ferraro, I mean, that's 7 points he's now lost out from first to second. I mean, 25 points. Oh, Scott Evans taking a little bit of a lawnmower day there. But 25 points down to 18 points. I mean, still at 7 points he's now lost in the heat race, which, I mean, to him was an easy win. I mean, he held it the entire race, and then just into the final corner, things just went a little bit south there. And like Matthew mentioned, we get to have all of our opinions up here in the commentary box, and nobody can really push us away from it because it is just an opinion and it's not an official ruling. But for those race stewards, they're official scrutinizers, and they'll have to determine who was at fault there. But here we go is the starting grid, obviously determined from our sprint race. So Ben Snell will take P1 with Peter Ferraro now second. So they've just switched around. Ivan Vantagiato will take third. Dante Oliva in fourth. Let's hope he can get a little bit higher up for the championship standings for the time being. Stephen Deviak in fifth position with Tyler Craig in sixth. Scott Berman in seventh, and Guillaume Dombre in eighth.
Indeed, he is. Nick Green will be P9 alongside Ivan Noxie. Let's hope that internet seems to be a bit more stable for him in this second race. Ben Mitchell, P11, with Anthony Edwards, P12. Spinozzi is 13th from Matthew Brown, and then it's Lee Harrison alongside Scott Evans, rounding out the top 16.
Yeah, then it's from 17th, Michael Dowsett, Michael Angeli, and Luke Broadbent. Unfortunately, down in 19th, he had a bit of a late spin. Andrew Cash will start 20th, and James McLean, if he decides to come to the grid this race, will be starting, unfortunately, dead last in 21st position. He still has a couple of chances. We've seen the action here on the grid, and obviously there's a lot more time now for something to happen, so possibly a point up for grabs here for James McLean.
Ian Noxie hasn't taken to the start grid. I'm seeing on the timing tower we've got his name is grayed out. We are down to the 19 drivers. Maybe that internet has, or maybe succumbed to his internet connection a little bit, but Ivan Noxie is not there. Hopefully he can get onto the grid, onto the pit lane for the start of this race. He'll be a little off the back, but with 35 minutes gives him that extra bit of time just to try and find the pace. He had some decent pace in that first opening race, so hopefully he can make his way into starting from the pit lane. But we're getting ready to get underway here for race number 2. If it's going to be anything like race number 1 was, Ben Snell could be in a good position here. If he had the pace over Ferrero, he could start to hopefully pull away from the Ferrari driver here in his Mercedes-Benz.
We're going to have to keep our eye out on the front grid, though, on the front row, because obviously what's just transpired at the end of heat number 1, there's possibly going to be a little bit of anger from Peter Ferraro. So we might be seeing an early dive coming into turn number 1 if he does get the better pull-off from the safety car coming into the pit lane. So we'll keep our eye out on that front row once the lights go green, because we might be seeing the most amount of action here if Peter Ferraro does decide to contest for what he thinks is rightfully his P1. And so as you can see, right alongside that Mercedes, he's trying to read the pull, because as soon as that Merc decides to hit full throttle, the Ferrari needs to be ready. And as you can see, Ben Snell is playing the safe game over here. He's holding that grid and trying to, deny the prediction. Oh, Peter Ferraro might get a penalty if he doesn't. Oh, there we go. It should be good because it's before the starting line. And oh my goodness, Ben Snell has gotten a great pull there. Very unpredicted, unfortunately, from Peter Ferraro. Tyler Craig has also gotten a great pull as he pulls away from that 3-pack, as it might be 3 wide. A little bit of bumping coming in from the Porsches down into turn number 1. Ben Snell has been able to hold P1 from Peter Ferraro, and from the rest of the grid, it looks relatively clean. And unfortunately, Deviak has completely denied the clean list. So many cars off through T1.
And that's the championship leader, Dante Oliver, who was just having a bit of his own internet issues there, who got collected by the Ford Mustang having his own spin. Noxie has got back in the service, so that'll help him out. Look, he's going to pick up a couple of places here. But Dante Oliver, championship leader, we said that he could extend his run with a good couple of results today. Well, he's down to the back of the pack at the opener, and there's another spinner. That is Andrew Cash, I believe. Yes, it is, who's had a moment going round at the toes of hairpin. We've got 3 cars having a battle here. Coming up towards Piratella, the Ford Mustang on the outside, the white BMW, the special livery, the Italian coloured BMW on the inside. Coming down it towards Aqua Minerale, then Ben Mitchell manages to stay in front of them all. But yeah, dramas on the opening lap of the opening corners, and it wasn't the 2 drivers you was on about.
No, definitely not. And that was just cascaded accident after accident. I mean, we saw one go off, and then it just transpired into more and more. And unfortunately, the lagging really did play as a threat over there, because I think that might be our main culprit for why we saw so many cars go off. It looked like you mentioned, Oliva had a bit of a connection issue there. And as soon as he popped back in, there was an incident coming into the left-hander and all of them just going off into the gravel trap. Thank goodness for the gravel trap. I mean, to think if this was Paul Ricard or something, that's a neat wall you're facing if you can't get your car stopped. But thankfully, that's what the gravel is there for, is to keep your car stationed. And so for the time being, D'Oliva will lose all possible points here. Deviak has also lost out completely. Broadbent has lost out completely. And so we'll have to see what the drivers can do. But Ben Snell has been able to keep that lead for the time being. Ferraro has not been able to contest yet. Vantagiato is also slowly starting to get closer, but he has a quick replay. Deviak already getting contact there with the lever, and so he's got the inside line. What happens here? Lever's on the inside now. There's the lag, and oh, as you can see, he actually lagged through there. Well, I mean, that was confusing.
Yeah, it looks like Deviak just drops the rear on the outside curb a little bit, as if he'd just slid maybe through the second part of Tamburello, dropped the rear, and as you can just see, watch the BMW disappear momentarily. So the Ford here, look, just goes a little light on the rear, around it goes and hits the not there BMW. And Dom Bray, how he's avoided that one. Oh, there, he hasn't. He gets collected by the BMW, still spinning around on the exit of Tamburello. But yeah, the Ford just looks like he went a little light. And then we have had Deviak and Dante Oliver and Noxie all into the pit lane already in this race. So yeah, Snell at the minute 7/10 out front, doing what he needs to do, trying to extend that gap. He clearly had the pace in race one. There's Lee Harrison and Dowsett with Dom Bray. Not a million miles off the back of the pack. So even though he's had that spin and got collected out of the first chicane, he's not dropped too far back. So he's still in this fight. This is Anthony Edwards looking around the outside of the Porsche that's of the Ford Mustang. It's Ben Mitchell he's defending from. Apologies. And he has overtaken. Right, so I didn't see that one changing the time tell. So no, Anthony Edwards has overtaken. He's pulled a great gap already as well, actually. So Edwards doing well. The battle going on in the background between the special liveried BMW as well. I believe that is Spinozzi who's in that fight. Indeed, it is fending off the Ferrari of Lee Harrison into Tamburello. A lot of lovely liveries. I'm enjoying the old school retro livery on that Ferrari of Lee Harrison as well. That's quite nice.
Yeah, there's a couple of them. You can see the taste is a bit different to what we've normally seen. I mean, we've seen it in other leagues as well, where you can either get some super modern and geometric liveries where, you know, there's been a lot of time spent, and then you get the more minimalistic old retro 2000s liveries. And sometimes they do actually beat out the modern ones just from carrying that nostalgia and that minimalistic feel. I mean, Ian Noxie, he's rocking a pretty minimalistic livery as well, and it looks super clean. But yeah, so Eduardo is up in 8th. He's actually also first race here of the season. He did not attend race number 1. And so here in race number 2, let's see what he can do. He's got a good holding, though, within these first 35 minutes, in these first 4 minutes, apologies, and up into 8th already. So that's good points for him. Ben Mitchell, also good points for him up into 9th. And so, like you mentioned as well, Dom Bray down in 16th. He's just outside of that points bracket. And so he's going to want to push just to get in front of Broadbent there in 15th and at least have 1 point to his name after that turn 1 incident. But for the time being, Ben Snell has been able to keep ahead of Ferraro this entire race. Ferraro has consistently kept 5/10 between them, and Vantagiato unfortunately has lost out majorly, down 2.5 seconds now from the top 2, so he has not been able to keep up here, nor has Tyler Craig. I mean, down 6 seconds from Vantagiato, so lots and lots of differentiation coming over here. But for the time being, Eduardo has got a lot of pressure from the league owner here of Ben Mitchell, who's looking all around with his big Mustang. What can he do to get past the Merc? And diving up on the inside line, it's front engine versus front engine. What can they do? A little bit of a nudge there from Mitchell, but it looks like it's going to be relatively safe. Eduardo does touch the grass, and he does lose all of his drive into the next corner, unfortunately. That's a double, actually triple position loss there for Eduardo from 8th down to 11th. So super unfortunate there for the yellow and black Mercedes.
Yeah, what a shame, because it was looking like a great battle happening into Tamburello there, but just that little nudge put him on the grass and compromised any momentum he had out the first part of this circuit. So down a triple position there, down to 11th place for Eduardo in that Mercedes-Benz. And this is kind of the story out front, isn't it, in race 1. Snell and Ferraro pulled away from Vantagiato, and he wasn't really in the fight with them, was he, until that last moment at the end of the sprint race, and it kind of fell into that same way again, hasn't it? He's dropped already 2.5 seconds back. This is on the back of Angeli then, looking back to Michael Dowsett, coming up to Aqua Minerali. There you go. And so far, if you're Dowsett, you've got to be looking to set Angeli up, not through this chicane, but maybe through Ravazza, although he's lost a lot of time breaking into the chicane there. So he's put himself on the back foot on the run down towards Ravazza. Get a good run through here, though. That's where you really can get the best chance to overtake. Paxel in front, and how hard is this braking zone at Ravazza there?
Yeah.
The sun right in the cockpit of the driver's eyes, and that'll be blinding as you want to hit your brakes and get it down in towards the corner. And I think that's one of the trickiest braking zones on this circuit, because if you brake a little bit too late, you're off into the gravel trap.
Yep, off into the gravel trap indeed. Harrison, though, comes in for his pit stop, and I believe everybody will be coming in for a pit stop, as there is one mandatory needing to be finished in this 35-minute race for race number 2. But actually wondering why Dowsett was taking that so safe. I think he might be a little bit scared in his Mercedes, because if anybody knows the Mercedes, it's a much bigger car, and it does have slightly higher ride height compared to some of your mid-engines, and so it can really tackle curbs a little bit better than the Ferrari, a little bit better than your McLarens and such. And Dowsett just taking a very safe line compared to for example, Ben Snell. You'll see him in a couple of seconds. He'll go through the same chicane we just saw Dowsett going through, who took it relatively safe. And just watch how Ben Snell will most probably absolutely tackle these curves with full power and force, because he's got confidence in the front end of this Mercedes. And so coming into the right left chicane, as you can see, he's going to eat that first curve, and he's going to absolutely munch the second curve, and it allows him to get way more exit speed compared to what we saw for Dowsett. Oh, Matthew Brown has unfortunately had a bit of a squabble over here, so let's just see what's happened with him. He's holding on now into the left-hand flick. What's happened for him? And coming into the left-hand, a little bit of he manages to save it, though. I mean, it's a good save there from Matthew Brown. He does lose a couple of positions, but thankfully for him, no wall contact in this 35-minute race.
Yeah, that's another driver who's had a rear-end step out at Piratella, isn't it? Just going through that quick left-hander there. Another bit of a snap. Well saved by Matthew Brown. But this is what we love about the GT3 class, isn't it? Let's be honest. The difference in the cars. You've got your front-engine cars like the Mustang, the BMW, the Mercedes. They will eat the curbs, and they will be able to go over them a lot easier than the likes of the Ferrari and the Porsche. So they've got an advantage at that chicane, if you ask me, as we see in here. Dowsett on the inside line of the yellow Ferrari to his right, and can't get that one done on the inside of Tamburello. It just looks like Dowsett here just doesn't have the confidence to go over these curves, doesn't have the confidence on the brakes, and to put that move on the inside there of Angeli in that yellow Ferrari. So Dowsett's just got to try and get a bit of confidence and commit to one of these manoeuvres, as he does now. Look right up the inside at Tozer. He's got that inside line. Angeli gives him plenty of room. Dowsett now will have the run coming up towards Piratella. The red Mercedes-Benz just losing out a little bit in a straight line to that Ferrari, and he tucks back in. So looked like he got the move done at one stage, and that Ferrari powers back through.
Yep, powers back through indeed, and just having a little bit better rotation compared to the Mercedes. Peter Ferraro has unfortunately gotten a slowdown for exceeding track limits, and as you can see, the gap has now increased even further between himself and Snell. It is now almost 2 seconds of a gap, and Snell can finally breathe a bit since Ferraro has completely moved away. Vantagiato has also completely dropped off now 3 seconds. You can see him there in the background, and once again the top 3 all different car classes, 2 front engines, 1 mid engine, and so they'll all play different in terms of their GT3 characteristic. And that's what Matthew says, is that each car comes into their own characteristic and how they play. They have a certain personality to them, and it allows drivers to just pick a car that they feel is better suited to them. So if you feel like you have a little bit poor trail braking, and you struggle to get the car to not over rotate, then a front engine might be your choice. It's got a little bit better braking in terms of consistency. It has a little bit less oversteer, but you might fight understeer, and you might fight it through those very sharp left and right corners, where something like the Porsche, insanely good at getting through those left and right bends, but it can become a little bit complicated under braking if you have not mastered that trail braking technique, and it has a little bit less top speed as well compared to your front engines. But it all comes down to how you feel like driving. For the time being, Dombre down in 17th position is trying to fight back up into 15th with his Porsche to get at least 1 point on the board, but he does have the current championship leader just behind of D. Oliva.
Yeah, indeed. It's going to be an interesting one. We believe then that Oliva, sorry, I will get these names right, don't worry, may have to make another pit stop due to pitting at the end of lap 1 with the damage he sustained on that lap 1 incident. So we'll keep our eyes on him. Evans has just lost out 2 places, and that is why he's in a wall facing the wrong way. That is the exit of Aqua Minerale then. And let's see what happens. He comes through Piratella. Again, one of the easier places to make a mistake. Just touching the outside curb, bounces onto the inside curb. Oh, rear just went round. Yeah, no, nothing on the curbs that's done that one. That is just the rear stepping out. And what a shame. We're seeing a lot of the rear ends on drivers here in this second race, just deciding to go a little light and bring the car around.
Yep, literally, and it's happened multiple times, yeah, and it might be starting to prove a little bit with the cold track. It is slightly colder here, and it is starting to set. The sun is starting to set, which means that the track will slowly become a little bit colder here. As we can see, it is still 20 degrees, and thankfully it's maintained that, but it might start to drop with that sun dropping, and it means that the track isn't as warm for the tires to stay optimal, and that's why we might be seeing a couple of slip arounds. There is also a lot of debris out on track. We've had a couple of off tracks where drivers have dragged a bunch of gravel onto the asphalt, and that does also play into a bit of grip loss. But for the time being, while we've been talking, Peter Ferraro has set the fastest lap of the session for the time being, a 140.77. And so let's see, can he possibly he's actually slower for this lap, but yeah, so Snell got a 1x on the previous lap, and that's actually why his did not count. But what can Ferraro do? Because we've seen his aggression, we've seen his pace. Can he possibly catch up to Ben Snell after that slowdown? Ben Snell taking a little bit of a wider approach there with the Mercedes. And so let's see what they can do, though. The gap for the time being, though, is sitting stuck at 1.7 seconds, and Ferraro not able to make it up. Fortunately for him, though, he does have Vantagiato behind it. He is not able to catch up whatsoever. It's almost 5 seconds now between Ferraro and Vantagiato, and so for the time being, all he has to do is try and catch up to Snell within the next, I would say, 23, 22 minutes or so is what he's got to play with, and possibly still a pit stop needing to be done.
These two are the only two drivers, the leaders, are in the 1-minute 40s, and Snell there just a couple of tenths quicker than Ferraro on that last lap. So Ferraro's got to find something extra just to get onto the back of Snell in this race. Maybe a mistake or two from Snell. This is Angeli going into pit lane to make his mandatory stop. So we're yet to see the top order into the pits for their pit stop. Then Scott Evans as well down in 12th has yet to pit also, but Angeli comes in. But this is turning into an interesting fight because they've got the pace over Vantagiato to pull away from him, but Ferraro needs that extra bit more pace to try and close into the back of Snell while they're lapping the same times, 1:47 at 1 minute 40.7 for Snell and a 40.9 for Ferraro last lap. Really quick, really good lap times, but it's not what Ferraro needs. He needs to be the one closing that gap down. As we just see Dante Olivia there, then just disappearing off the timing tower and coming back. So that connection problem still obviously causing him a few issues. Here's Tyler Craig running in a quiet P5. Yeah, an interesting one. Just had a bit of a slowdown then, so a bit of an off-track somewhere gives himself a slowdown. And you were saying earlier about when we had the spinner about keeping it out the wall and like somewhere like Paul Ricard. That's the beautiful thing about Imola, right, Tristan, is it's an old school circuit. You've got the grass, you've got the gravel traps. As we see Nick Green then coming under pressure from that menacing Ford Mustang of Ben Mitchell in the background. But with it being such an old school circuit, it allows you to be able to stay in this race.
Absolutely, and I mean, there's so many factors around the track that does allow for the car to be easier recovered compared to like what we spoke about, a more modern style track that I don't even think Paul Ricard has any grass. I think it's literally just concrete and asphalt all around. And so it has basically no runoffs. I mean, obviously it's got a lot more space for mistakes to be made, but no runoffs. So if you carry a lot of speed and you go off track, well, you're probably going to meet face to face with Mr. Wall over there. Whereas like we mentioned with Imola, a lot more old school. It's got all the grass and it has been a long standing track. I mean, if you watched Formula One way back in the 2000s, you'll know that Imola was on that Grand Prix, was on the schedule for racing. And so it's been here for quite a long time. And so that's what we mean about the old school circuit. There's gravel traps everywhere. There's grass everywhere as well. If you dip a tire in there, you might lose grip, but it'll also slow your car down a bit compared to concrete that will just keep you going. But for the time being, Dombre has managed to get himself into a 15th position slot over there, but he does now have our championship leader of Oliva fighting behind him. Noxie is also within that fighting chance. So it's Porsche versus BMW versus Mustang. The two behind will have the better top speed, and as you can see now, the BMW of Oliva trying to contest on the outside of Dombre. What can he do though? Coming through the next couple of corners, he will have the better rotation over the BMW and the Mustang, but they will have the slight speed advantage. Oh no, Oliva is disappearing again. Let's hope this doesn't oppose or potentially threaten the drivers here with an incident. Let's hope it can keep clean throughout the next chicane section. But as well for Ian Noxie, he's getting closer and closer. One of them touched the gravel trap. Ian Noxie almost looking on the inside line over there and pushing his nose up where it does not belong. That gap was closing very quickly, and Noxie trying to recover from a slightly slower exit compared to the drivers in front. Dombre has been an absolute champion in keeping the two behind. And the Porsche just leading off strong yet down into Aqua Minerali though. What can he do to keep them behind? Because Oliva, obviously the championship leader for the time being, he is aggressive. Look at how close he places the nose of that BMW and trying absolutely everything here to get past the likes of Dombre.
He is indeed. It was Dombre that kicked up the gravel on the exit of Villeneuve, then in towards the chicane. There you go. And these two obviously made the contact on lap one. Dombre being caught by the spinning BMW behind him. It was Devjak who's down in 20th place, who was the Ford Mustang involved in that incident, not Noxie. So two of the three involved in that lap one collision. And for the BMW, he's flashing the lights and the car to try and distract Dombre just in front as they come down the start-finish straight. 17 minutes gone, nearly at the 18-minute mark of this 36-minute feature race here. Lap 11, and it's looking pretty good for Snell at the moment. 1.5 out in front. Lost a couple of attempts on the last lap, but he's still got that good margin. BMW now to the outside of Tamburello. Is he going to look around the outside of Dombre? Maybe try and get a better run on the exit down towards Villeneuve. There you go. No, he's just going to happily sit there and wait again. This is so far good racing from these two. Obviously involved in that lap one incident. But they are absolutely nose to tail coming through Villeneuve now towards Tozo. And there's just nowhere through, is there? There's just nowhere through at all, because Dombre is parking the car exactly where he needs to.
Yep, Dombre is making himself an Alonso wall of note for the time being, and he is not allowing any form of competition from behind. And that's going to play threat, though, for Oliva, because Noxie is slowly closing in behind because of being held up from Dombre. But, oh, here we go. Might be an opportunity for Oliva. He's forced his way in, but he does have the outside line. Oh, he's going to try the cutback. Is the space there for him? Unfortunately, it does close, and Dombre holds off on P1. He's lost a lot of time now for the likes of Oliva, and actually the likes of Dombre able to pull away a bit. Eduardes has also gotten ahead of Craig as a couple of the drivers coming into the pit stop for their first and final pit stop. But back to that fight. I mean, it is so hectic for the time being for Dombre to hold off. I mean, Oliva and Noxie proving so much aggression. Here's Ben Mitchell, though, coming out of the pit lane. He might actually join in on this fight as they come around. There's Spinozzi, and coming out as well is Tyler Craig of the Team Ad Racing, and just coming ahead of Scott Evans. Will it be enough? And unfortunately not. Scott Evans will hold off in that position, and here comes Ben Mitchell. Looks like he will hold off from the driver behind, and just ever so coming out in front. Unfortunately, Spinozzi is forced to brake for the next corner, and so he does lose out on that. Scott Evans, though, under immense pressure here from Tyler Craig. He mounts the curb, and it's getting very close. Oh, it's bumper to bumper, as getting forced off onto the gravel is Tyler Craig. Scott Evans just not giving him the space he needs. There's a dive, though, as well from Harrison, who now comes onto the inside line. And I mean, my goodness, Matthew, there is so much action up and down this grid.
Yeah, and a good opportunistic move there from Harrison. He saw the opening, went for it late, and Evans giving him the space. Evans hasn't been into the pit lane yet, so he's not really in this fight at all, because he'll obviously drop back as Snell into the pits from the lead of this race to give it back to Ferraro. But back to that, the fight we were just seeing a little earlier on. Noxie's actually got past, where's the Oliva? Dropped down to 19th place, just looking on the screen there. Oliva's down to, he's made another pit stop. There we go. So our producer Sam there just telling us that he has been back into the pits. That'll be because he pitted at the end of lap one. So that puts to bed that fight at the minute. So Dombre can breathe a sigh of relief, and we're getting plenty of drivers now into the pit lane for their stops. And Snell on his way back out. Only drops down to P3 in this one at the moment, but he's going to be pretty close, a couple of seconds off the back of Eduardes. So if Eduardes doesn't pit, Snell may be in a bit of traffic here. Broadbent here, Bowman, sorry, here. Bit of a long pit stop. We're being told he's lost 7 seconds in the pit lane there, Tristan. So that is not what he would have wanted in this race.
Definitely not. If you watch Formula One, you'll know that pit stops can really play into the strategy, and it's the exact same here in GT3 class racing. So Burman has unfortunately lost a lot there. 7 seconds is a whole heap lot of time, and so he's lost out a couple of positions there. Green and Craig both obviously getting ahead of him as well. So Burman down into 9th position. He's now got Ben Mitchell just a little bit further behind. Spinozzi just behind him as well. So there is a clear battle here for 9th position. And oh, now Burman has got a slow down, unfortunately, for exceeding track limit. And so this is not going to be good for him, though. Oh, contact. Ben Mitchell. Spinozzi put his nose all the way up on the inside line of the hairpin. We'll get a replay there just to see who was in the wrong from our perspective. But it looked like Spinozzi just forced his way in there and made it clear that he wanted the position. So coming through the next chicane, where is Spinozzi? It's a great aerial cam just to see where the situation is. Very far back. And oh, Spinozzi, oh, definitely a little bit in the wrong there, in my opinion. Not too sure what you think of that, Matthew, but Spinozzi just putting his nose where it does not belong.
He got it stopped for the corner, but yeah, like you say, he was just a little bit too far back for me. The door was always going to close from the Ford Mustang coming through the toes of hairpin. I think that puts that straight on Spinozzi there for that incident. He made the corner, but yeah, Dale $8 short. Ferrero there. They're not exactly a blistering stop. Lost a couple of tenths in the pit lane, actually, so Snell retakes the lead of this one. Eduardes and Broadbent into the pits. Vantigiato into 3rd place once again, with Harrison going to climb back up into P4. So we are getting to be as we were in this race. With Snell now 2.7 seconds. So whatever he did on his outlap from the pit lane was absolutely phenomenal, because he's extended that gap at least 1.5 seconds.
Incredible stuff there from Burman. I mean, obviously trying to make up a bit of a recovery drive after that poor pit stop, and doing a great job at it as well. Obviously, he's lost the pressure from behind from Mitchell and Spinozzi, as they've both fought again, because Mitchell's gotten ahead once again of Spinozzi. So what happened over there with Spinozzi? He's obviously lost out a little bit of time, and so Ben will take back his rightful place in 7th. And obviously a couple of the drivers performing their pit stops, they've moved up, because Eduardes obviously came into pit. He's back down to 9th now, with Brown just behind him, and Dombre does still have Noxie behind him, but it doesn't look like he's posing as too much of a threat. Let's have a bit of a look of a replay, though. This is obviously what happened with Spinozzi. So you can see Ben is very far behind. Spinozzi, oh, almost losing the rear, and he just slams brakes up. Yep, slow down. He actually exceeds track limit there, and that allows Ben Mitchell to come back. But yeah, that looked like a little bit of an aggressive slowdown, possibly letting Ben Mitchell come past, actually acknowledging a little bit of a mistake made prior, and just letting Ben Mitchell take the position back.
I've just been looking at the timing board we have in front of us. Had Bowman not had that slow pit stop, he'd probably been running in P4 at the moment. So, yeah, shame for him. But here's Broadbent in the Ferrari, and Bowman in the Sol Aston Martin out there. So, yeah, had his pit stop. You see there, look, some 7 seconds slower than Green, some 8 seconds slower than Harrison. And the gap to Harrison is only 6 seconds. So, yeah, he'd have been right sort of with Harrison in round about that fight, I reckon, for P4, maybe just in front of him. So Bowman there, a little bit to think on and ponder what could have been in this race, but it's not done yet. We've still got 11.5 minutes left to go, and he's gaining on the back of Green in this race as Oliva then moves up into 18th place ahead of Evans. I believe we lost Stephen Devjak from this race. He's been in the pits for 4 laps now. He's retired on lap number 9, and this is Broadbent being attacked by Craig down the start line, getting a little close to each other as they come down towards turn number 1. And this could be the Porsche through. You know, he's got the inside line, and there's 2 left-handers at this first section, and Broadbent backing out of that one in the Corvette, and through goes Tyler Craig there in the Porsche. Broadbent, have a look back at him, then into Villeneuve. He is, you know, up the inside. Is he possibly thinking about it? No, that forces Craig a little offline though. Broadbent can't capitalise through toes of gravel being kicked there. Dombre now up into P11 with Noxie on the back of him. So Dombre off and pretty much dead last at the end of lap number 1, if you remember, after that first corner incident. He's running P11, solid result at the moment, and he's there for the top 10 finish right now.
Great stuff from Dombre, and that's really going to play into his defense, like you mentioned, that he had with Oliva and Noxie. And obviously Noxie is still behind. He has not been able to get past Dombre whatsoever, and Dombre is actually caught up to Brown as well, and so that's great stuff for him to even further his points for the time being. Peter Ferraro, though, will still hold second. We did see a bit of a flag being waved there from the marshal. Not too sure what that flag was for, but Ferraro will still hold second. Final lap for a white flag. And that time flew by. I swear, I swear we still had 11 minutes left, but it looks like it's jumped a little bit.
Yeah, I'm completely with you there. I thought we had 11 and a bit minutes left to go. Dom Bray, what's happened to him? Because he's back into the pit lane. So has he got to get his stop done? So we've just been told he's exceeded the incident limit, so he's got himself a drive-through penalty, and it is a long pit lane here on the final lap. So all that good work we've just said about Dom Bray has just now been put to bed, and Tyler Craig will get an extra position, as will Broadbent here. Cash is also into the pit lane, and Dom Bray re-emerges from the pit lane in 16th place as Cash then is into the pits. Looks like he's taking tyres because he's up on the jacks. But for Snell, it's going to be 2 from 2. He's extended his gap even further over Ferrero. He rounds the chicane. And at the minute, Ben Snell, well, he's got to have been the top dog today here in this one, because feature in, Heat 1 win. And that'll go with, what did he get last week? If we look at that, a 4th place in the heat and then a 2nd place in the feature, with Dante Oliva not having the best of weeks this Monday evening or morning, wherever you are across the world. This will put Snell right in the prime position.
Absolutely. And I mean, like we said, it is only round 2 out of 8 rounds. So Snell has now officially placed himself on the radar as a threat for Oliva, because this is going to be double points. He's practically going to be tied now with Oliva if he does get that fastest lap bonus. I don't think he will, though, because Ferraro currently holds fastest lap in P number 2. So he'll probably be 1 or 2 points down from Oliva, because I don't think he's going to get any points from today's racing. He wasn't in the top 15 in the sprint, and he wasn't in the top 15 either over here. He's down in 17th position. A great result there for Snell. A couple of the other drivers coming across. Benozzi takes 8th, and yes, Dowsett, who we saw being a little bit gentle on his Mercedes, he does come home in 12th, and that's still points for him. And so possibly what he wanted is just to stay consistent and come home here at Imola with just something on the board, and he's done exactly that. That's going to be a couple of points to his name. Broadbent will be the final driver to score that one singular point here for the feature race, and so Dom Bray will unfortunately lose out there, just down in 16th position. Oliva will lose out. Evans, Cash, Deviak, and obviously McLean, who did not start this race, also down 0 points in this event. So super unfortunate there for Dante Oliva. It's been a bad week here at the likes of Imola. It was great last week, but now he's going to have to try and reverse it for the next week's race. And super unfortunate there for him, but still overall great racing here at Imola.
Yeah, great racing at Imola, and for Dante, he's going to ponder what would have been had he not had that lap 1 incident there. But Ben Snell, your race winner from Peter Ferraro. Ivan Vantigiato was P3. Lee Harrison in 4th place from Nick Green. Scott Borman, Ben Mitchell, Alex Spinozzi, Anthony Edwards, and Matthew Brown rounding out the top 10.
Incredible stuff for the top 10 here. Noxie will just take 11th. Michael Dowsett 12th. Michael Angeli in 13th. Tyler Craig will take 14th. Luke Broadbent, like we mentioned, 15th. The final point scorer here tonight. Guillaume Dombre will take 16th, with Dante Oliva 17th. The championship leader will not be happy about that one. Scott Evans down in 18th, with Andrew Cash in 19th. Stephen Deviak in 20th. And the final driver in 21st of James McLean, who did not get to the grid in tonight's racing at all. So no points on the board there for the McLaren or BMW driver. I'm still not sure what it was. It was a McLaren last week on our live timings tower. This week it was a BMW. So not too sure where he stands there, but still great racing. I don't think we have anybody who is going to be coming in for interviews. We didn't see it last week either. And so that might be the end for tonight's racing. Well, today's racing for me and Matthew, but tonight's racing for the Aussies out there watching on Benji's YouTube channel. But I mean, Matthew, final thoughts there on this race here at Imola?
Yeah, very tricky race tonight. Obviously, the track didn't help that one with the limited overtaking, but we head in 2 weeks' time to Manicourt. I am really looking forward to that one, because I think Manicourt is the best French circuit in the world. In France, should I say in the world? In France, I think it's a real challenge. So looking forward to seeing that one play out. We have got a few drivers just joining now, so I'll bring Ben Snell in for you, Tristan.
Absolutely. Ben Snell, welcome into the commentary box. You're live here at Apex Racing TV. Welcome in, and I mean, just talk to us about that super action-packed race there for you.
Oh, what a couple of races, really. Shout out to Peter. He is mega quick, especially in quali trim. He pumped out such a fast lap, and I was like, all I wanted to do was hold on to him And that first race, we got a little bit of a breakaway, and I just thought I'll chill, not attack him, let him know, position my car so he knows I'm not attacking. That way we could just have a two-car fight at the end. Unfortunately, it got a little bit messy, but that's what the stewards will have to go and have a look at, because that was an interesting one. But the second race, again, interesting, was a little bit shorter than we were planning on. So it was just a splash and dash, got it across the line, and happy to get it done.
Yeah, I mean, talk to us about that, the final incident of the sprint. Obviously, you did just give a bit of feedback on it, but from your side, what obviously happened there in that final corner?
Yeah, we've Peter and I definitely had different strengths and weaknesses in the track. I was in the Merc, you get really good drive out of the corners, so I was really nailing Variante Alta, and pretty much every lap I could have had a look if I wanted to. The last lap, I decided to have a look, and as I've come over, he's come across as well, and I think it's up to the stewards. I reckon he moved a little bit too aggressively under brakes, and he thinks that I just ploughed into the back of him. So we obviously both have our thoughts about it, and that's what the stewards are going to have a look at.
Yeah, that's exactly what the stewards are for. And then, I mean, obviously, second race, you had an absolutely dominating stance all the way from start to finish. How did the Merc feel? Obviously, there's loads of variety here in the BISC GT3 championship, with every single GT3 car being included for choice. So what's the pick on the Merc? Why was it the pick for the season, and how did it feel? Yeah.
I did a bunch of testing around a few tracks. The Merc and the Ferrari were my two choices that I was looking at. The Ferrari was slightly quicker, maybe a tenth or two every other lap, but the Merc I just has so much more consistency in, and you can see in that second race, Peter was all over me, then he'd make a small mistake because the Ferrari's so twitchy, and then he'd slowly catch me back up, then he'd make another little mistake, and then he'd have to keep catching up over and over again. So I basically went, the Merc is the most stable car. It's the car that I have the best feeling in. This car I've driven the most, so that's the one I wanted to use.
Well, for your final question, obviously it's only round 2 out of the 8 rounds, but you just super boosted yourself all the way up into being a bit of a threat there in the championship standings, because that's going to be double points here for the first in the sprint and the first in the second heat feature race. So how are you feeling going through the next portions of the season?
Yeah, the next 2 tracks I have to buy. So Manjicore and Algarve, I think, as well. But yeah, the 2 next ones I have to buy, so I'm going to have to do a lot of laps and get some practice in. But I'm pretty stoked to have such a strong start to the season. Even at Mexico last week, the Merc was definitely a disadvantage compared to the BMW, and I was happy to get a podium in that one as well. So it's definitely a very strong start, and I'm hoping to carry that momentum through.
Incredible stuff. And before you head out of the commentary box, is there anybody you'd like to mention or anybody you'd like to thank before heading out tonight?
Yeah, of course. Big shout out to Benji for putting this on. A lot of the competitors are here, local in South Australia. So it's really cool to have a very, very local league, but then you have the super fast guys from all around the world as well. So fantastic effort from Benji now in the second season. It's just getting stronger and stronger. And a massive shout out to you guys for putting on the broadcast. It's definitely stepped up from last season for sure.
Incredible stuff. Well, congratulations again tonight on your double P1 victory. We'll see you next week at Magny Core. Have a good one, man.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Alrighty, Matt, and I'll let you take Mr. Ben Mitchell.
Oh, no, brought the wrong one back in.
Wrong Ben.
Let's get the right Ben in. Ben, welcome you live on Apex Racing TV. P7 in the feature race. Talk us through that one a little bit.
Gentlemen, how are we all?
Very well, yourself.
Yeah, good. I thought I'd just check in and see how things are going. Apologies for the laps running short tonight. I'm not sure, that could be iRacing doing iRacing things, but they were set at 23 laps there, and we've robbed ourselves about 10 minutes of action, so I do apologise. No,
it's absolutely all right. Talk us through your feature race in this one, because P7, good result.
Look, a bit chaotic for me. I felt off the pace to where I had been practicing all week, about at least half a second. So, but other than that, I can't complain. I didn't get taken out. I survived, and we made it to the end relatively unscathed.
It was a pretty fascinating night as well. Obviously, you had the good fight with the Ford Mustang. I think it was Noxie in race 1. So it looked like he was in the thick of the action there as well.
Yeah, with Noxie, I don't know if it appeared on the stream, but he was obviously flashing more than a set of broken Christmas lights, and it was I had to be very cautious. So I think I gave him more room than I normally would have. I think I had to salvage that position before I ended up being a part of a flashing incident.
Indeed. Manny Core next week. What's your thoughts on that circuit? Because it's a beautiful track. What can we do around there in the Ford?
Look, I've never actually done it, so I've got some practice to do in our week off. I've got some, very, very big practice to do. For me, that's a first time around there. But reverse grid feature race next week is going to throw the fox amongst the hen house, that's for sure. It always does. Last season it did, and this season it will. So, it's going to be interesting. Not many passing spots by the looks of it.
Yeah, it should be an interesting one. It's a good job you've got the extra week off then to get some practice in. Lastly, anybody you'd like to thank this evening?
No, just you guys for hosting the broadcast, putting up with us at all and putting it on it, and just thank for everyone showing up. Thank the sponsors that obviously have helped me got the season together. Bowden's Own, Raceforge, Hyperspec, Hair Forum, RBM Design, RBMX Design, and Jack Aston Sim Coaching.
Brilliant. Well, Ben, we'll let you get off, and congratulations on the P7.
Thanks, Matt. All right, speak to you guys soon. See you guys.
See you soon.
Bye.
Cheers.
And Tristan, what a week at Imola. We got a week off, and it sounds like a lot of these drivers have got a lot of practice to get done for Manny Core.
Definitely so. And I mean, we even heard it now from Ben Snell. The race winner tonight doesn't even have the track owned on iRacing. So that's going to be a bit of an interesting one. It means he's never driven it before. So it's going to be brand new practice for him in that Mercedes. And so we'll see what he can do there. But like you mentioned, it's going to be hard practice for all of them. But for tonight's racing here at Imola, the Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari circuit, it's a complicated long name, but it's a great circuit nonetheless. And it really has shown some great racing here tonight. My name has been Tristan Herbst, joined in the commentary box by Matthew Duffin and obviously Sam Fitzpatrick in the production house, just in the back end side where nobody can see, but bringing you all the awesome camera shots here tonight. We'll see you next week for round number 3 of the BISC GT3 Championship at Magny Core. 2 weeks, apologies, for round number 3 at Magny Core. Have an awesome night if you're in Australia, or have an awesome day wherever you are around the world. And we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Cheerio.
Bye-bye.